All right, listeners, welcome back to the Adrian Bo podcast. Hey, guess what? It's Troy Malcolm doing the intro, and I'm here with none other than Mr. Adrian Bo. AB, thank you so much for letting me do the intro. It's been a while since I've kind of taken the reins and run with it, but it feels good to be back. And I know that you've been super busy, and it would be silly of me to say that this will probably be not the most listened to episode on your podcast because you had the opportunity to sit down with the Lux listing team and really dive deep, both about the program, the show, what they've achieved from it, but also behind the scenes, what it was really like to be part of that. And you've had such a phenomenal involvement with Amazon and putting together the right talent, both Gavin, Deline and Simon, just to make sure that they are the perfect people to represent both real estate but also Sydney sales. So mate, let's start there. Let's talk about Lux Listings, the episode. Now we're on episode 99. For those that missed it, last episode, just go to Adrian Bo's podcast on iTunes and all your favorite listening platforms. AB, mate, it was good. It was really good. Thank you so much for taking the time, and thank you to those guys for actually jumping on and sharing their experience.
Yeah, no, it was a lot of fun, Troy. Obviously, it was just great to tap into a few questions, which obviously, if I took a survey and said, oh, what would you love to ask the cast, there'd be literally hundreds of different questions, So I curated it down to about half a dozen in the 30 minutes we had, Troy, and I'm hoping that everyone appreciated it. But really, it was a summary around, hey guys, how's this impacted your business? And that's been very, very positive. And obviously people will listen to the responses for that, or already have, but also most importantly, just really reminding our listeners that what an authentic and accurate representation of the industry that they portrayed, because it wasn't all blue sky and it wasn't all rainbows and unicorns. Like, for those who have watched it, which would probably be everyone listening, right? We had those passed in auctions, Troy. We had those, withdrawn listings, and it's as Deline talked about, and all of them talked about yesterday was, it's how you bounce back, that bounce back factor. And that's so great that we've been able to showcase the resilience, the hard work, the challenges, the knocks, in addition to just the glamorous stuff that some people outside of the industry might erroneously think that that's all it's about. And you and I, Troy, we've been in the industry, 3 decades. We know that that's not what it's all about. So really satisfied about, being able to tap into those guys. Amazing talent, amazing individuals, amazing real estate practitioners,
Yeah, and I think that's the important probably thing that we can talk about today, Adrian, is, what are some of the traits, like the three talent on Lux Listings? They each have their strengths, but they're so good across so many disciplines. But what I have noticed is not only, well, a lot like yourself, they've managed to not only stay up to date and be on the forefront of everything real estate, but also they've managed to outpace their competitors every single year, deal in, deal out, making sure they are, really the ones that are setting the benchmark. I guess that's a great topic for us today. What are the traits that you see high performers doing right now to outpace and outpassion their competition?
Yeah, it's a great question, Troy, and those three, Deline, Simon, and Gavin, certainly portray that really well, because even though they've been in the industry different periods, Deline close to 30 years, Gavin, maybe half that time, Simon maybe sort of closer to 20 years. Every step of the way, like other top performers throughout the country, and we could name, hundreds of them. What I have noticed, Troy, is that there's some innate skills that really are non-negotiables, that they were either born with, or they had to hardwire their operating system, if you like, in order to make sure that these innate skills were highlighted. And those skills are energy, their mindset, their discipline, process-driven, and their headspace. So those things, all top agents throughout the country, which, you get the pleasure to work with, I get the pleasure to work with, that those innate skills, whether they were born with it or whether they re-hardwired their operating system to make sure they were process driven, made sure they were in the right headspace, made sure their energy was on point, made sure they were disciplined and processed, is so critical. But then the best part about it, they've got all these acquired skills, which they definitely weren't born with, which is negotiation skills, product knowledge, dialogue, rapport building, all this fantastic stuff, which combined makes them the top of their game, Troy. And I think that no one can take that away from them, plus all the other top agents in the industry.
Yeah, and I think, Adrian, what you just mentioned there about product knowledge, we see this, every single time we sit down with a high performer in any market. They really are a student of their market. They understand, they've got their finger on the pulse. They understand what people are wanting, not just by configuration. Like we were saying last week, they're doing a deep dive on what their real needs are around properties. They know their numbers, right? They can rattle off price per square meter, land size, all of those types of things that we know we should all be better at. The top performers, they're taking it to the next level. Like they're sharing that information, they can rattle it off, and they really understand what's been happening in their market. And I think, for everyone listening to this, just stepping back and becoming a student of your market, especially right now, where we do have somewhat a little bit more time that we have in front of the computer with some of the restrictions we're seeing in metropolitan markets and a little bit more flexibility, stocks tight. So this is a chance for everyone to re-educate and reignite their product knowledge. Because let's face it, if you have been in the industry, Adrian, and I think you would be, you would know a couple of agents that are similar to this. If you have been in the industry, sometimes this is an area that can get a little bit complacent on. When we first start out in the industry, we attend other people opens, we attend auctions, we make sure that we're researching REA and Domain and all the other portals, really to a critical level that we're knowing every single detail about a property and when it's sold and how many days on market. And then as we start to progress and get momentum, maybe it's just a byproduct of being busy, we seem to get a little bit too content with understanding product knowledge. So what you were talking about there, 100%. The other thing, Adrian, that I've noticed is all the top performers, they have a really strong belief structure. And I know that's probably a throwaway line, and our listeners have heard us talk about belief for a lot of episodes. I think even from day one, when we first went with the skills workshop, what I've noticed is they have belief in their value. Not only belief that they're going to get the listing, but belief in their value. And I think when you talk about presentation of fees, presentation of marketing, strategy to achieve the result, if you have that belief and you know that you're going to achieve it, well, you're halfway there, right?
Absolutely. And the way they mitigate or inoculate themselves against complacency, especially the three characters of Lux Listings, for example, is by high integrity hustle and hard work. I mean, let me tell you, these guys do the hours, right? And you and I both know, Troy, that any agent who's achieved any degree of success and is still doing that let me tell you, hard work and high integrity hustle is a big factor of it. And it's something that they just continue to do day in, day out. And sure, that could be covered under discipline. It could be covered under mindset or headspace or energy. But let me tell you, it's especially in this environment where it would be easy, Troy, to say, you know what, I'd probably be overseas now anyway and having a break. Look, not many people are looking to sell. Why don't I just sort of go in cruise control, right? But you've got these incredibly hungry, disciplined agents that are just fighting against that and saying, no, I want to maintain my market share. I'm not only going to survive through this, but I'm going to thrive during it and beyond it, because we all know there will be a surge of listings hit the market post-lockdown, because we're going to see the trifecta of traditional spring stock, and then we're going to see the second component of that, which is the delayed stock, which is going to hit the market. And then you put on top of that potentially a little bit of financial pain stock that'll hit the market. We know that there's going to be a surge of activity, and the agents who have nurtured their database, the agents that have stayed on top of their game, the agents that have build really good relationships and even double down on data and building it, they're the ones that are going to actually thrive through that spring period and beyond, Troy.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. The other thing, Adrian, that I've noticed is that all of these top performers, they're not only doing everything we've just mentioned, they're actually investing more and they're increasing more. So while everyone may be thinking that there's not an opportunity to go out on this stock, top performers right now, they're investing in themselves. They're investing in their knowledge. They're investing in their marketing. They're investing in their team. And then they're increasing activity. They're increasing sometimes their fee because they know right now in the market and what we're going to see at the tail end of this year, what you just alluded to, increasing activity, the belief that they have in the value, they also know that most of our clientele right now, they're going to be looking for a trusted advisor. They're going to be looking for a professional. They're not going to be looking for someone that can just stand out the front of a house, take some names and numbers and transact on a property. They want to have the people that have been in the trenches. They want to have the people that have gone through this process before. So when the market does shift, they know that their greatest asset is safe because of the representation they have from these top performers. Adrian, is there anything else that you've noticed from the top performers, both Lux listing team and also around the grounds? You work with so many top performers. I know some of your team members are part of your academy or coaching program. They are absolutely on fire. Hundreds of sales, not just tens of sales, hundreds of sales are now going through their books. What else are the top performers doing right now?
What they're doing, Troy, primarily is really being almost surgical about their approach when it comes to reviewing past appraisals, past buys, past sellers. And look, a lot of these guys do it very well during a normal environment, but more so doubling down on that during this environment when they might have that little bit of extra time. And a lot of gold's coming out of it, Troy, a lot of gold, so they might still be connecting once a quarter with these people, but to be able to circle back, Troy, and to have those conversations, which is really a conversation around, Troy, hey, how are you and your family going during this period? I'm still fortunate enough that I can work. Real estate is seen as an essential service. Probably something to do with the $1.62 billion worth of stamp duty that was generated over the last 30 days. But that's a separate conversation. We're still working. We're very fortunate. What can we do to help you? Is it, a FaceTime appraisal? Is it something that, we can pick up, drop off or whatever? Like they're literally just helping them, helping their community out, helping their clients out, adding value, having conversations, and that has proven to be outstanding. So past buys, past appraisals, past sellers in particular, and also staying very, very close with hot buyers, because we all know this, that there's some people with pre-approvals with expiry dates on them. And those buyers, have a strong desire to actually secure a property. And probably most of them wouldn't mind locking in on a 3 to 5 year fixed term, because those are creeping up. Those interest rates are creeping up, actually. So there's a lot of that at the moment, Troy. So, if you're staying close to your buyers, even if you don't directly sell them one of your own pieces of inventory, you could certainly introduce them to other pieces of inventory and act as their buyer's advocate, by proxy, if you like. And that is also an outstanding rapport building process and a great way to build referrals as well, Troy.
Yeah, it's ultimately the market for deal makers, and if it's going to happen, those deal makers are going to make it happen. Couldn't be more true. Adrian, episode number 99, as we come to an end, what is on the cards? What's your prediction for the future of the next couple of weeks of the Adrian Bo podcast and also market? I mean, you've mentioned a few insights there. What else can we expect, especially in the metropolitan markets, eastern states of Australia? I think that's probably where we're going to see the most dynamic change over the next couple of months. But what else are you seeing? Like, as we start to wrap up, what can we expect?
I think there's going to be sellers who have maybe looked to delay, but at this point they're probably thinking, you know what, I can't put my life on hold, especially if the extensions get even further extended or the lockdowns get further extended. I think they're just going to bite the bullet, which ultimately and inevitably the government are going to bite the bullet as well, Troy, and whether it's the 1st of September or 2 or 3 weeks later, at some point everyone's going to bite the bullet, like Europe and North America have done, and said, you know what, we're going to live with this squashing it to zero, that's delusional. It's not going to happen, right? So we're going to live with this. Let's just work with it, this virus, and let's do the best we can and be, you know, as safe and free as we possibly can. So I think you're going to have a lot of people who are just don't want to be held hostage by this pandemic and want to move on, whether it's buying, selling, tree change, sea change, reducing debt, or for those businesses or people who have got incredible job security, actually increase debt, take advantage of those incredibly low interest rates. So I think we're going to start to see an increase in activity, productivity, and just general volume, and that'll bring us right through to the end of the year. And then early next year, I think it'll just be a recalibration of pricing. Not at a dramatic level, but just maybe, you know, in single digits, and then obviously just that high priority on bricks and mortar as a really safe investment. And you know, I think we're in a really good position as an industry, that we can actually still function, operate, and facilitate transactions, because let's face it, the real estate industry lubricates so many markets, Troy. You know, construction, legal, accounting, I mean, the list goes on. Not to mention that $1.62 billion worth of stamp duty, right? So it's and that's just in 30 days in New South Wales. It's a lot of revenue. So yeah, that's my prediction. And obviously each week, next week's going to be episode 100. We're going to have to celebrate, obviously, Troy, with 100 episodes. And it's been a pleasure being on the Troy Malcolm podcast today, Troy.
Yeah, we might change the name. Make sure you send in your questions, Tim. We might change the name. No, all jokes aside,
exactly.
Adrian, thank you. I can't thank you enough for letting me be part of this and coming back into the Adrian Bo podcast. To the team members that constantly send through questions, apologies, we couldn't get to them today. This is a sharp episode. We wanted to focus on, you know, what are the things that are going to outpace the market. But promise you, next week, those questions will come back up. So for everyone that's thinking or might have a question, please send them through. And also make sure you hit that like button, share button, 5-star ratings, all on those platforms, because it does make a difference to us. We love seeing those comments. We love seeing all the information. So can't wait, Adrian, to see you again, same time next week.